I never thought I'd be the guy to get blindsided like this. My name, Jack, and I was married to Emily for just over 3 years. We had what most people would call a normal relationship, or so I thought. She's always been bossy and quick to lie when it suited her, but I figured that was just her personality. She's gorgeous, confident, and used to getting what she wants. Honestly, I'd never had any major doubts about her until the wedding weekend. The whole thing started subtly. Emily had been acting a little off in the weeks leading up to the wedding, but I chalked it up to pre-wedding stress. She'd be short with me, distracted, secretive even. I noticed she'd spend hours on her phone, texting or scrolling through social media when she thought I wasn't looking, but she always had some excuse. It's just my sister, Jack, family stuff, or work emails. She'd brush off my concerns, laughing it off as if I was overthinking. The night before the wedding, something finally tipped me off. I had come home from work late, and I happened to see her phone sitting on the kitchen counter, unlocked. I glanced at the screen out of habit and saw a string of messages, flirty, intimate, clearly not innocent. It was from someone named Tyler, and the tone was hot, suggestive. My stomach dropped. I stared at her messages, and what I saw made my blood run cold. They'd been exchanging dirty texts for weeks, planning secret meetups, talking about sex. She was openly talking about how she couldn't wait to see him. I couldn't believe it. Emily, my wife, the woman who'd been acting like everything was perfect, was cheating on me during our wedding weekend. I felt like the ground beneath me was slipping away. I wanted to cry, but I was too angry. I didn't sleep that night, just stared at the ceiling, trying to process what I'd just learned. I knew I had to confront her, but I wasn't sure how. Would she deny everything? Would she lie again? I didn't have much choice but to wait and see how she'd explain herself, or if she'd even bother trying to explain at all. The next morning, I woke up with my stomach twisted in knots. I knew I couldn't just brush this off or pretend I hadn't seen anything. I still remember walking into the bedroom where Emily was sleeping peacefully, her chest rising and falling in that false serenity that made me want to scream. I felt like I was frozen in place, caught between want for answers and the fear of what I might find out. She was still in her wedding dress, which I found weird. Why wasn't she changing or preparing for the reception? I also noticed her phone was on the nightstand, face down, but I didn't care anymore. I picked it up, trembling, and unlocked it without her noticing. I scrolled through her messages again, trying to find anything else. There were more texts, a lot of them, and they weren't just flirtatious. They were explicitly about sex, about how she wanted him to taste her, how she was so turned on thinking about being with him during the wedding weekend. I felt 1,000 feelings at once: devastation, anger, betrayal, a sick kind of humiliation. How could she do this to me? How could she lie so blatantly? I'd always been there for her, never doubted her. Yet she'd been sneaking around right under my nose, planning this secret affair with my supposed best man, Tyler. The guy who was supposed to stand beside me, support me, be my friend. That bastard. I knew I had to confront her. I couldn't just let this go like it was nothing. So I woke her up, told her I needed to talk. She looked confused at first, then annoyed, like I was bothering her. When I showed her the messages, her face instantly turned sour. She sat up in bed, eyes wide, playing innocent like she had no idea what I was talking about. "Jack, you're overthinking. It's nothing, just some stupid flirtation. You're making it a big deal." That was her first lie. She always lied fast when cornered. I didn't buy it. I told her I knew about Tyler, I knew about the texts, and I wanted the truth. That's when she got bitchy, her voice rising, her tone dripping with attitude. "Oh, so now you're accusing me? God, you're so paranoid. Maybe I was just bored, okay? Maybe Tyler's just a friend, someone I talk to because I'm bored. But it's not a big deal. It's not like I slept with him or anything." She kept denying, but I saw through her bullshit. Deep down, I knew the truth. And hearing her lie so effortlessly, so dismissively, it broke something inside me. I felt like I was losing my mind. I never thought I'd be the guy to catch his wife cheating, especially not with my best man. I kept asking myself how I missed all the signs, why she thought she could get away with it. Her words still echo in my mind. "It's just sex, Jack. It's not a big deal. You're overreacting. Tyler's just a guy who happened to be at the wrong place at the wrong time." That's what she said when I asked her if they'd been sleeping together during the wedding weekend. Just casual, she claimed, like it was nothing. But I knew better. I felt sick and humiliated, like I'd been played. I realized I couldn't stay there in that bedroom with her spinning her lies. I told her I needed space, time to think, to process. And I walked out, feeling like my entire world had just crumbled into dust. I went outside, sat on the porch, and stared at the sky, wondering how the hell I'd gotten here, how I'd let someone I loved betray me so badly. After I left her bedroom, I couldn't sit still. I felt like I was walking around in a fog, trying to make sense of what I just learned. My mind kept replaying the moment I saw those texts, the way her face twisted when I confronted her, and her bitchy, dismissive attitude. It was like she didn't even care that I found out. Or maybe she did, and that just made her even more manipulative. I decided to do some digging. I needed to see if there was more to this than just a few flirtatious texts. I started going through her social media accounts, her emails, her phone backups. It didn't take long to find more evidence. There were photos of her and Tyler, some from the night before the wedding, hidden in a private folder. They were kissing, clearly caught in a moment of passion. And after that, I found more messages, long, detailed conversations about sex, about how she couldn't wait to be with him again, how she fantasized about their secret meetings. It hit me like a punch to the gut. All those times she'd said she was just tired or busy with wedding preparations. She was really sneaking around, hooking up with my best man, someone I trusted, someone I thought of as a close friend. I felt betrayed, not just by her, but by him too. That bastard. How could he do this? How could she? I also found some messages from her telling Tyler how she was so turned on, how she loved the thrill of sneaking around during our wedding weekend. She even used the word sex casually, like it was nothing special. All I could think about was how she'd lied to my face, how she'd taken everything I believed in and turned it into a lie. I was furious. I wanted to confront her again, but I knew I needed to be smart about it. If I just blew up, I'd lose all the control. Instead, I decided I'd gather all this evidence, and then I'd decide what to do. I was sick of her spinning her stories, trying to deny everything. The truth was right there in black and white, and I wasn't going to let her keep lying her way out of it. That afternoon, I sat in my car for what felt like hours, staring at the screenshots and saved messages. I felt like I was watching my whole life fall apart piece by piece. It wasn't just the betrayal that hurt. It was the feeling of absolute stupidity for not seeing the signs earlier, for trusting her at all. The woman I married, the woman I thought was my best friend, had been cheating on me with my best man during our wedding weekend. How did I not see it coming? How did I let it get this far? My stomach clenched every time I thought about Tyler, that guy I once called a friend. Now he was just a bastard in my eyes. I knew I had to make a decision. Confront her again, or just cut my losses. Either way, I knew my life was never going to be the same after this. I had to figure out what I really wanted, and fast. That evening, I finally decided I couldn't keep pretending everything was fine. I needed to confront Emily again, face her bitchiness head-on, and get some answers. I also knew I had to prepare myself emotionally. This wasn't just about catching her cheating. It was about whether or not I could ever trust her again. When I went back into the house, she was sitting on the couch, scrolling through her phone like nothing had happened. Her attitude instantly pissed me off even more. She looked up and gave me that smirk, like she thought she was some kind of clever girl. I took a deep breath, forced myself to stay calm, and started laying out everything I knew about the texts, the photos, the secret meetings. Her face twisted in a mixture of annoyance and condescension. "Jack, you're overreacting. You really need to relax." "Nothing been confirmed. Maybe you're just imagining things," she said, her voice dripping with that fake sweetness. That was her go-to, gaslight and deny, but I wasn't falling for it. I shot back, "Cut the crap, Emily. I saw the messages, I saw the pictures. You're lying right now, and I've had enough of your bullshit." She rolled her eyes and leaned back. "You're acting like a damn lunatic. I don't know what kind of fantasy you're living in, but I swear, I've never cheated on you during our wedding weekend." Her tone was dismissive, almost like she was daring me to believe her. I felt a cold rage boiling inside. How could she play that game? She'd been caught red-handed and she still refused to admit it. I told her I didn't want her explanations, that I'd heard enough lies. That's when she switched tactics. She became bitchy, aggressive, throwing out insults. "You're so paranoid, Jack. I don't know what you're trying to prove. You're just insecure, and honestly, I don't even want to be married to a guy who can't trust his wife." That stung more than I thought it would. How did she turn it around on me like that? I was the one who'd found her in bed with Tyler, the one who'd seen the proof. Yet she was acting like I was the crazy one, accusing her of some kind of jealousy problem. I was so furious I could barely speak. Every word I wanted to say died in my throat, replaced with a deep, aching disappointment. I told her I was done playing her game. I said I'd make a decision soon, but I knew deep down that I couldn't stay married to someone who had lied so blatantly, and then acted like I was the problem. I wanted to leave, to get out of that house and away from her lies, but part of me still hoped that maybe, just maybe, she'd come clean. Even if she didn't, I knew I couldn't keep pretending any longer. That night I stayed up thinking about what to do next. I was hurt, humiliated, and furious all at once. And I realized that, no matter what she said or did, my trust was shattered beyond repair. I kept asking myself, how could she betray me like this? How could she lie so easily? And most painfully, I kept wondering if I'd ever be able to look at her the same way again. The following days dragged on in a haze of anger and sadness. I couldn't focus on anything except the betrayal that had ripped my world apart. I kept replaying the moments where she lied, the images of her with Tyler, and the way she tried to manipulate me into doubting what I saw. Every time I thought I was making progress, I'd get hit with another wave of pain and confusion. I decided I needed to get out of that house. I packed a bag, told her I was going to stay at a friend's place for a little while, and left without looking back. It was the hardest thing I'd ever done, walking out knowing I was leaving everything behind. My house, my marriage, my sense of trust. But I couldn't stay in the same space with her, not after everything. My mind kept racing, wondering if I should try to fix things or just cut ties completely. Once I was gone, I reached out to a close friend, Mark, who had known Emily for years. I needed someone to talk to, someone who'd give me honest advice. As I explained everything, I could hear Mark's shock and anger. "Dude, that's some sick shit. She's a bitch for cheating on you during your wedding weekend. And Tyler, that bastard, what the hell was he thinking?" His words made me realize I wasn't crazy. I'd been blindsided, yes, but these feelings of betrayal and rage were completely justified. I also started thinking about how I'd handle this legally and emotionally. Was I going to divorce her, or try to salvage what little was left? Honestly, I didn't have a clear answer yet. I just knew I couldn't stay married to someone who thought lying and cheating were okay. I felt like I'd been played for a fool, and I resented her for it. But beneath all that, I also felt a strange sense of relief. Finally, I was free from her manipulations, even if it hurt like hell. The worst part was the family. I knew they'd probably never believe my side. Emily was always good at spinning stories. She told everyone I was overreacting, that I was jealous or insecure. So I kept my distance from them for a while, let everything settle down. I didn't want to deal with their judgment, especially since I knew some of them would blame me for breaking up the family. That pissed me off more than anything. They'd never seen her for what she truly was, and now they were siding with her, an expert at lying and manipulating everyone around her. In the quiet moments when I was alone, I'd think about what I'd learned. That betrayal comes from the people you trust most. That even the ones you think are your best friends can turn out to be your worst enemies. And most of all, I learned that I'd have to rebuild myself from the ground up, because trusting again would be a long road. Still, I knew I had to move forward, even if it meant starting all over. In the end, I decided to file for divorce. There was no way I could stay married to someone who had so blatantly lied and betrayed me. The pain of it still lingers, but I've come to accept that some wounds take time to heal. I've started therapy, trying to process everything and rebuild my confidence. It's not easy, and some days are worse than others, but I know I'm better off without her. Looking back, I realize how blind I was for so long. I kept making excuses, ignoring the little signs because I didn't want to believe the worst. But the truth was right there in front of me all along. I learned that trust is fragile, and that the people closest to you can sometimes be the ones who hurt you the most. The biggest lesson I take away from this nightmare is that I shouldn't settle for lies and betrayal. I deserve honesty, loyalty, and respect, things I thought I had in Emily. But clearly, I never really did. I've also learned that revenge isn't always about revenge itself. Sometimes, the best thing you can do is walk away and take control of your life again. Now I'm focusing on myself. I've started dating again, slowly but surely. It's scary, not knowing who to trust, but I'm learning to be cautious. I still have scars, but they remind me of how strong I am for surviving this. I don't hate Emily exactly. I just see her for what she truly was, and I'm glad I got out before it was too late. This whole experience has been brutal, but it's also been a wake-up call. I'm more determined than ever to find happiness on my own terms. If there's one thing I want anyone reading this to take away, it's this. Never ignore the signs, never tolerate lies, and always trust your instincts. Because when someone shows you who they really are, believe them the first time.